We'll let them do their thing up there. Those bangs. It's kind of a weird word, don't you think? Bangs? Bangs. Where did that even come from? Who was the person who said it first, and why did they choose the word bangs? Because that's a very interesting word to use. Well, hello there. It is that time once again. This time we're going to be talking about something in terms of a rebranding. These thoughts all came about when, after talking to some of my friends about a TV show that they got me watching recently, Schitt's Creek. So we were talking about one person saying, oh, I think you are like that character and you're like this character and etc. So kind of going in the outside view, and then also the person themselves kind of looking internally and saying this is how they felt. And it was kind of interesting to see the differences in opinions because, well, number one, it depended on what the person was focusing on. But then also there's a little element of how someone projects themselves to the outside world, and we've talked about this multiple times, and then also how they feel on the inside. When I look at the big scheme of things, we are looking at rebranding because it's balancing what we are projecting versus what we want to project. Decide what are things that you're doing now, what are things that you want to be doing to rebrand yourself and rethink about who you are, who do you want to be. These are the things that you should be considering now that we've been thinking about ourselves and kind of analyzing where we're at. It's also a good next move to up level what you are radiating. So you've been giving off this, well, I don't want to say stench, that sounds horrible. You've been giving off this aura of who you were in the past, but that does not have to be who you're putting out there now or in the future. I kind of like the idea of calling it a rebranding because, in a sense, the outside world will be looking at you and taking notice of this and saying, that person is this. So if you're like me and you're hearing what people are saying about you, let's say, and they're saying, oh, you're the kind of person who's XYZ, and you look at that list and you're like, really? I'm XYZ? That's very shocking. I'm so surprised. Why are they not seeing ABC? And it's probably because you're not showing that part of yourself to them. You're showing the XYZ part. And not to say that everybody is on the outside world is going to get everything correct about you and going to see everything, because they're also looking through their own, not rose-colored glasses, but let's say tinted glasses, where they're also perceiving things a little bit different. They're missing things because they're focused on certain things as well. So, I mean, you don't want to focus solely on what people are saying. But if you have a big enough sampling of people that are saying XYZ, 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 then most likely it's probably XYZ that you're projecting out there. So I kind of look at it basically like building blocks. And so one kind of builds off of the other in order to get to the top of the rebrand of, insert your name here. So at the bottom we have values. Then from there you can develop your vision. And your vision would be kind of like your big goal that you're reaching for. And then the mission would be like your action steps that you're taking to get to your goal. And then finally, with all of that emanating out of you, you would get your image, your brand as a person. And I mean, the beauty about these things is it, again, doesn't have to be the same thing your entire life. You can focus on different things in different parts of your life and grow and develop and change as a person. You don't have to be stuck as who you are forever. I know that that's something I've been dealing with, is feeling that stuckness of, oh, this is who I was. I have to be this way. This is what everybody expects of me. And no, break break those bonds. You don't need to be there anymore. For me, what I want to happen is the answer to these questions to just radiate off of me. I don't want it to be a mystery. I don't want people to wonder, what am I all about? It is just radiating off of me based on my actions, my responses. And so, I mean, this is happening whether you realize it or not. And so it's good to kind of, like I said, to analyze of what you're projecting. Is it aligned with what you want to be and how you want to be as a person? The first question you may want to ask yourself then to get that foundation is, what are your values? What are you putting time and energy in thinking about and valuing and putting an importance on? So you know me and my affinity towards certain websites, and I found this list, and I printed it out because I like writing on things, but I found this list of values. I spent a while trying to think about this. What are my values? And of course, my first question is, well, how do I know what my values are? I'm not exactly sure what I value. And so I kind of took it more in a scientific approach, and that would be, first of all, I figured out what are the things I'm doing most often, and those things I must be valuing, whether I like it or not. Or I should say, whether I'm conscious of it or not. Those are the things I'm valuing because I'm spending so much time doing it or honoring it or whatever. So if I look at my life as a whole, then I know the things, some other big ideas that I value. And so I took all those things into consideration when I was thinking about what I value. And as I was looking at the list, I kind of categorized it into two groups of, kind of like we were talking at the start, this outer self versus my inner self. It was almost like I could see others saying these things about me. And then there's certain things that I would say or want about myself. There are things that I have not started doing yet, but I want that to be part of my brand. I may not be this person yet, but I'm rebranding myself to become this person. From that, so looking at my core values so disclaimer, it's something that I've been thinking about with you guys, and so all this kind of momentary thoughts on it has helped to now come to this point. It's kind of like more in a movement stage. So there was a lot of thinking happening first, more thinking than has ever happened before in my life, but now we're ready for the movement stage, finally. It's like, come on now, I was waiting for this to happen, but it's finally got here. And so the movement stage is driven by the vision and the mission. So the vision for me and everybody's is going to be different. So my vision is that I am mirroring as much as possible my inside self outwardly. So like if I were to have like a tangible goal, it would be, I want what I find important to be evident and others see it and it's clear to them. We know that whatever we find important is going to just happen and emanate from us. And so I want to make sure that what is emanating from me is truly what I value and not just what I have gotten used to and have valued in the past. So it's kind of interesting, when I was coming up with my mission statement, it sounds so official, it incorporated some of the values that I haven't necessarily been valuing yet. In order for me to mirror my inside and my outside, I'm going to have to do these things. And not only do I have to do them, but I now see the importance of them. I'm going to have to be vulnerable, be courageous, and be accepting. So again, those ones are part of my image, the future image that I want, that are missing. And so that's why I need to include those as far as my mission is concerned. And I want somebody to look at me later on and say, wow, Jenny, you are very courageous. And in order for them to notice them, I need to value them myself. I need to incorporate that into what I do and what I say. And so there is that mesh. I want it to all align together and create this beautiful garment that I'm wearing, and they see and they say, wow, that person is vulnerable and courageous and accepting and creative and etc., etc., etc. Just by what I say and what I do. I know that these are like big, big, big things, and it's going to take, of course, it's going to take time, but we've talked about baby steps. And one of those first baby steps is analyzing where you are, what you need to do in order to move forward. And it's balancing the big ideas with what those small steps now look like. So I have this big vision, big idea of where I want to go. And that's what I'm going to hold on to, because everything is going to funnel through that vision. But the practical will be a part of that as we start moving forward. But now I know what direction I want to go. This is what my brand is, my rebrand of myself. So that is what we have for this week. Focused on big picture when it comes to who you want to be, who you want others to say you are, and putting it all together so that it is all one piece. And not necessarily, I think I'm like this, but they think I'm like this. So I hope that you join me next time and that you have a wonderful week. Just do the wave now. Do the wave now. What am I doing? I have no idea. I have worn out my welcome. Goodbye.